Two men meet in a German post office in 1985. One man asks the other, "Are you into music?" And the other man says, "Yes, and I can play drums." That other man is Yao Ata Owusu, also known as Ata Kak, and he doesn't know how to play drums. But he decides to learn to be in the man's reggae band. He gets the gig and ends up being the drummer and singer. While they were doing mostly Bob Marley covers, Ata Kak started to write and practice his own music. In 1989, Ata Kak moved to Toronto, and it's a similar story to his time in Germany. He joined another band but didn't play his own music. Afraid that his band wouldn't want to play his original songs, he started buying instruments and recording equipment secondhand to do everything himself. Once everything was recorded, he sent the recordings to his home country of Ghana to be mastered and have packaging designed. The album, now titled Obaa Sima, was released in Ghana in 1994 with about 50 cassettes made. Unfortunately, Ata Kak had no money for promotion and the DJs in Ghana wanted money to play the tape. Out of those 50 copies, maybe 2 or 3 were actually sold and the rest are distributed among family and friends. That's where Ata Kak's career ended. Or so he thought. Ata Kak's legacy would persevere unbeknownst to him through the piracy of his music. This is the story of how illegal copying and distribution of Ata Kak's music revitalized his music career. The song is called Moma Yendodo. You may never hear anything like this elsewhere. I bought this on the street from a guy selling tapes displayed on one of those big vertical wooden racks in Cape Coast, Ghana. No one I know in Ghana listens to this frenetic left field rap madness. This is the first post made on the Awesome Tapes from Africa blog. Accompanying the post was a scan of the cassette artwork and a download for the song recorded from the cassette. Founded in 2006 by Brian Shimkovitz, the blog's purpose was to share the insane music he found while studying abroad in West Africa. Brian had no way of knowing where or how to contact the artists, so all the songs and albums were uploaded for free without the artist's permission. Essentially, he was recording each cassette for his blog and distributing the music illegally. But with the several songs and cassettes he would upload over time, Awesome Tapes from Africa would gain a cult following, allowing Brian to DJ his cassettes around the world.
I like that, man, watching him, because he had real African cassettes, like, it sounds good.
He'd also take this opportunity to try and find Ghanaian locals that knew the original artists so he could contact them. Of course he wanted permission to keep the music up on his blog, but he also wanted to remaster the music and get the artists the pay and recognition they deserved. And at the top of his list of artists to find was Ata Kak.
My name is Ata P. I'm the twin brother of Ata Kak.
Ata Kak's twin brother Ata P was responsible for distributing Obaa Sima in Ghana, while his brother continued to live in Canada. He ordered the cassettes and sent them anywhere they were willing to buy or play them. As it turned out, the cassettes were a modest success in Ghana, but he just never told his brother about it.
He sold about close to about 600 copies. The song was a hit at that time. He didn't know that it was that successful, but we knew very well.
But there was one thing Ata P noticed that was unusual.
I even went to Accra and I heard it on air, but I didn't know who sang it. It was playing there.
Now let's stop here to talk about cassette culture in Ghana for a bit. Cassettes were the predominant music medium in Ghana up until the 2000s.
And this is where we insert the master. Then from this computer, runs straight onto the tape. And it runs at a very fast speed. 300 cassettes within 5 minutes. It's done.
Not only were they fast to make, they were cheap to make and to buy. Cassettes were also portable and durable enough to withstand the harsh conditions of Ghana's climate. A person could go to a music stall in Ghana and buy a cassette or two for less than $1. This was not only ideal for people making music, but for pirates as well. As Ata Kak didn't have the funding or backing of a large music label, it would have been easy for pirates to make copies of the cassette and sell them without being caught. It is highly likely that illegal copies were being made not only to distribute to other radio stations, but to make a quick buck as well. While Atapi estimates about 600 copies were sold, there were probably many more sold that were less than official. Despite the illegality, this practice allowed Atakak's music to proliferate throughout Ghana. As Atakak and Atapi had minimal connections to the Ghanaian music business, piracy was unfortunately one of the only ways the music could have spread without intense promotion and research on what to do and where to sell. Thus, piracy in a way helped to preserve Atakak's legacy for the short time his music was popular. Through an Atakak Facebook page, Brian found Atakak's son and discovered Atakak was in Ghana. After chatting for a bit, Brian got Atakak's phone number and called him as soon as he could. What started as conversations about music turned into conversations about remastering and re-releasing Obaa Sima, and Brian wanted to make sure he did everything right. The release had to be the best quality possible, so what better place to start than with the master recording? Atakak was more than happy to send over the now 20-year-old DAT master tape. Since it was a digital tape, it could be put into a tape drive and the files could be transferred to a computer. Simple enough. There was one problem. The tape broke. Due to poor storage conditions, heat, and humidity, the tape was unsalvageable. So instead of using a master, they had to use one of the cassettes that were made. Atakak's only copy of the cassette suffered a similar fate to the master tape, and other tapes found were too worn or damaged to be used for a remaster. So the copy that was used was the original tape Brian ripped onto his blog back in 2006, which was somewhat of a problem, especially for Atakak. Mysteriously, Ada's original recording was slower than the one Awesome Tapes from Africa posted, indicating the album might have been pirated at some point. Not only did piracy allow Atakak's music to spread across Ghana, but it saved his music as well. Piracy was able to archive the recording and allow it to last long enough not only so Obaa Sima could be re-released, but for Atakak to be able to tour and to get the money and recognition he deserved from his music. And while I don't condone piracy, I thank those people who made this unofficial cassette so people could listen to and discover this Ghanaian national treasure. If there's a lesson to be learned from this, it's to save the music you love. Share it with others. Keep that artist's legacy alive. If it's an artist that's not well known, maybe they can see their music career be revitalized, just like Atakak. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this video, I highly recommend watching the documentary Atakak Time Bomb here on YouTube. It goes into much more detail about Atakak and his life than I do here. I even used some footage from the documentary throughout the video. I'll put a link in the description for you. Also check out some more awesome music on the Awesome Tapes from Africa Bandcamp, which I'll also link in the description. There's a lot of fantastic music to discover there. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for funding my videos up to this point. If you're interested in supporting my work and getting some sweet content and early access stuff out of it, then check out my Patreon page. Also follow me on Twitter for updates about videos and how my life is going. Remember that Black Lives Matter, and there will be no peace if there is no justice. Thanks for watching, and I hope to have you as a viewer again soon.